Okay, welcome to the conclusion of week 3 of the Montana legislative session. I'm
tired yet?
I know we've just begun, right? My name's Todd O'Hair. I'm the president and CEO of the Montana Chamber of Commerce, and this is Bridger Mahlum. Bridger leads our government affairs efforts here and does an excellent job on behalf of the business community up there. So Bridger, highlights from week 3 of this session.
Yeah, week 3, and 15 days in. It's wild to think that we're nearly a quarter way through this already. And I'd say one of the biggest highlights this week is that there were several bill hearings having to deal with whose authority is it when it comes to emergency orders, and whose authority supersedes another, and talking about county health boards. How long do their mandates and orders last until they have to maybe report to some elected body, whether it's a commission, and then of course from the gubernatorial situation, executive orders, do they need to be checked by the legislature in a certain way? So while the Montana Chamber hasn't weighed in on these bills directly, we know that this is going to be an important question that needs to be resolved by this legislature by the end of this session, because we don't know when something like COVID-19 is going to come again. And for the business community, especially, to know whose authority lasts for how long and how does that get checked is going to be an important factor going forward. So that was a big trend.
So on the trend of the COVID, one of the chamber's top priority bills, Senate Bill 65, was heard in the House on Friday, today. And tell us how that hearing went today, Bridger.
Yeah, Todd, it was another excellent hearing. We had the full spectrum of stakeholders, proponents, from chambers of commerce, hospitals to Farm Bureau, and our bill sponsor, Senator Steve Fitzpatrick, continues to demonstrate just an excellent intellectual capacity when it comes to this very specific issue and what it means for business. And we'd also like to give credit to Chair Noland of the House Business and Labor Committee, because he's also co-sponsor on this bill and ran a very fair hearing today when it came to hearing both proponents and opponents to this very critical legislation to get our economy back on track.
So Governor Gianforte's identified this bill as one of his priority bills for moving forward with additional restriction lifting, I guess I should say. And we've got support in the majority, or in the leadership in the Senate and the House, but this bill still got a ways to go before it comes out of committee. Is that right?
That's right, Todd. And it's a process. There's 3 branches of government for a reason. It's certainly a great sign of momentum for this bill when you have the second floor backing you up and taking a lead on this. But we have elected representatives of the Senate and House for a reason, and that's to double check on those things. And yes, we have a lot of support for this bill in the Montana House of Representatives, but we can't take that for granted, because it's what's really paramount here is that these local lawmakers, these House members, hear from you. If you care about this piece of legislation and know that it can positively impact the way you do business going forward, please share that story with your representative, whether that individual serves on the House Business and Labor Committee or just serves as a member of the House. We need those stories to be shared so that we can continue to make the most compelling argument that this is legislation for the now, because we need an economy for the now.
Governor Gianforte is making it a priority that he'd like to see this on his desk sometime towards the end of next week or the first of the following. So it's going to move quickly, if it's going to move at all. So it's a good point to make sure that you take a minute, contact your local House member and encourage them to support this piece of legislation. So what about next week, Bridger? What do we see for kind of highlights for the next week?
Yeah, next week, some of the workforce bills that I've teased a little bit in previous iterations of these weekly webinars is workforce development legislation. And a couple are going to be coming up next week that we'll have some interest in, including one of Governor Gianforte's priorities is to create some incentives to raise starting teacher pay, in addition to a House bill that is going to propose to change the community college funding formula that would further incentivize the adoption of career and technical education programs. Very exciting news on both fronts there. And we also are very involved in the workers' compensation space. And Senate Bill 118 is going to be coming up this week, which is legislation that we've supported in the past that has to do with false statements made on employment applications. And it's really important that we pass pieces of legislation like that to help create a more predictable workers' compensation environment for employers, and to make sure that premiums are reasonable and low. And this is a bill that will help do that.
Great. Well, we've got a big week again in week 4, and momentum is obviously picking up on a variety of fronts here. And so we'll be back again towards the end of next week. In the meantime, please don't hesitate to contact Bridger or myself with any ideas, thoughts, or concerns that you might have, and thoughts that you might have regarding how we can do some additional work to make the Montana business climate more attractive to the economy and to the business in general. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.